Who is more powerful in 2026, the United States or Russia? But power is not just about tanks on parade or jets in the sky. It lives in factories, supply chains, satellite networks, training pipelines, and alliances quietly built over decades. On one side stands a country with a defense budget nearing $900 billion, global bases on nearly every continent, and a navy that sails every major ocean. On the other is a state forged by geography and history, vast, resource-rich, and structured for long wars of endurance, with one of the world's largest nuclear arsenals and deeply layered air defenses. Both nations field over 1 million active-duty personnel. Both operate advanced fighter aircraft, strategic bombers, missile forces, cyber units, and growing drone fleets. And both design their militaries around very different assumptions about how future wars would actually be fought. This is not a story about who would win. It's a reality check. Because modern military power is less about dramatic confrontation and more about logistics, sustainability, technology, and strategic reach. In the next few minutes, we'll break this comparison down calmly and carefully. Budgets, manpower, air power, naval strength, missiles, drones, cyber capabilities, and alliances. Not speculation, just documented capability. Let's start with the foundation everything else depends on: money. Military power begins long before equipment reaches the battlefield. It starts with economic capacity. In 2026, the United States operates on a defense budget approaching $880 900 billion annually, larger than the next several countries combined. This funding supports everything from aircraft production and satellite launches to veteran care, overseas bases, and advanced research programs. The U.S. economy itself exceeds $27 trillion, giving Washington unmatched ability to finance long-term military modernization. Russia's official defense spending is far smaller, estimated around $110–130 billion, depending on exchange rates. But raw numbers don't tell the full story. Russia benefits from lower domestic production costs, state-controlled defense industries, and a wartime economic posture that prioritizes military output. A larger share of national resources is directed toward defense manufacturing, ammunition stockpiles, and personnel sustainment. Still, the structural difference is clear. The United States invests heavily in high-end technology, stealth aircraft, space systems, cyber infrastructure, and global logistics. Russia focuses more on mass production, missile forces, air defenses, and maintaining large conventional formations. One system emphasizes global reach and technological superiority. The other emphasizes endurance and territorial defense. Economics shape everything that follows, from training quality to replacement speed. And this gap in financial scale remains one of the most decisive factors in any long-term comparison. On paper, both countries command massive armed forces, but they are organized in very different ways. The United States maintains roughly 1.3 million active-duty personnel, supported by about 800,000 reservists and National Guard members. Its force is fully professional, volunteer-based, and built around expeditionary operations. American units train continuously for overseas deployment, joint operations, and rapid response missions, often integrating air, land, sea, cyber, and space elements into a single command structure. Russia fields approximately 1.1 to 1.2 million active troops, with several million additional reservists on record. Unlike the U.S., Russia combines professional soldiers with conscription. This creates large manpower pools, but also uneven training levels. Russian force design prioritizes territorial defense, layered ground formations, and artillery-heavy brigades supported by centralized command. Structurally, the U.S. military emphasizes smaller, highly mobile units supported by overwhelming air power and logistics. Russia favors heavier formations designed to hold ground, absorb losses, and apply pressure through massed firepower. The contrast is philosophical. America builds for speed, integration, and global deployment. Russia builds for scale, depth, and sustained regional conflict. Personnel numbers matter, but how those forces are trained, supplied, and coordinated matters far more. Air superiority remains one of the clearest dividing lines between these two militaries. The United States operates the world's largest and most technologically advanced air force, with over 13,000 military aircraft across the Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, and Army aviation. This includes more than 450 F-35 stealth fighters, around 180 F-22 Raptors, hundreds of upgraded F-15s and F-16s, and a fleet of long-range bombers such as the B-52, B-1, and B-2, with the B-21 stealth bomber now entering service. Equally important are America's airborne command systems, AWACS aircraft, aerial refueling tankers, and satellite-linked targeting platforms that allow operations across entire continents. Russia fields roughly 4,000 aircraft, with modern platforms like the Su-35, Su-34, and limited numbers of Su-57 stealth fighters. Russian air doctrine relies heavily on ground-based air defense systems, such as the Su-400 and Su-300, creating dense protective bubbles around key regions rather than projecting power globally. Technologically, the U.S. leads in sensor fusion, stealth integration, and networked warfare, allowing pilots to share battlefield data in real time. Russia focuses more on electronic warfare, radar denial, and missile-supported air operations. In simple terms, American air power is built for worldwide dominance. Russian air power is designed for contested regional skies. Naval strength is where the contrast between global reach and regional control becomes most visible. The United States Navy operates around 300 deployable warships, including 11 nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, each capable of projecting air power thousands of kilometers from American shores. These are supported by cruisers, destroyers, submarines, amphibious assault ships, and one of the world's largest logistics fleets. More than 90 nuclear submarines give the U.S. persistent presence beneath every major ocean. This fleet is designed to move freely across the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Ocean, and Mediterranean, sustained by overseas ports, allies, and floating supply chains. Russia's navy is much smaller, with roughly 150 operational vessels, centered on submarines, frigates, corvettes, and coastal defense ships. It maintains only one aging aircraft carrier and relies heavily on land-based missiles to compensate for limited surface power. Russian naval strategy focuses on protecting nearby waters, the Arctic, Baltic, Black Sea, and Pacific approaches, rather than continuous global patrol. Geography shapes everything. America is buffered by two oceans and operates outward. Russia is surrounded by choke points and enclosed seas, forcing a defensive naval posture. The U.S. Navy exists to control distant trade routes. Russia's fleet exists primarily to secure access to its own. If air and naval power define visibility, missile forces define deterrence. Russia places enormous strategic weight on missiles. It maintains roughly 1,500 deployed nuclear warheads, delivered through intercontinental ballistic missiles, submarine-launched systems, and strategic bombers. Platforms like the R-24 Yars and Sarmat ICBMs are designed to penetrate missile defenses, while hypersonic weapons such as Kinjal and Avangard are meant to reduce reaction time for adversaries. Russia also fields thousands of conventional cruise and ballistic missiles for regional strikes. The United States holds a comparable number of deployed nuclear warheads under treaty limits, supported by its own nuclear triad: Minuteman III ICBMs, Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines, and strategic bombers. Unlike Russia, the U.S. invests more heavily in precision-guided conventional weapons, allowing long-range strikes without relying on nuclear escalation. America's missile strategy emphasizes accuracy, integration with intelligence networks, and rapid global targeting. Russia emphasizes survivability, volume, and layered launch options designed to overwhelm defenses. In conventional terms, the U.S. excels at pinpoint strikes across vast distances. In strategic terms, Russia prioritizes assured retaliation. Both systems are built less for fighting and more for preventing war altogether. Unmanned systems have quietly reshaped modern conflict, and both countries are adapting in very different ways. The United States operates thousands of drones across surveillance, strike, and reconnaissance roles. Platforms like the MQ-9 Reaper and RQ-4 Global Hawk provide persistent intelligence coverage over entire regions, while smaller tactical drones are now standard across infantry units. American doctrine treats drones as part of a larger digital ecosystem, feeding real-time data into satellites, aircraft, naval forces, and command centers. Russia entered the drone era later but has expanded rapidly. It now deploys large numbers of reconnaissance drones alongside loitering munitions and inexpensive one-way systems designed to overwhelm defenses through volume. Rather than focusing on high-end autonomous platforms, Russia emphasizes cost-effective mass production and electronic warfare integration. Asymmetric warfare also plays a major role. Russia invests heavily in jamming systems, GPS disruption, and battlefield deception. The U.S. counters with encrypted communications, AI-assisted targeting, and layered sensor networks. The difference lies in approach. America prioritizes information dominance. Russia prioritizes disruption. Drones are no longer support tools. They are now central to how both militaries gather intelligence, shape battlefields, and apply pressure without direct confrontation. Modern wars rarely begin with troops crossing borders. They begin in networks. The United States operates one of the world's most advanced cyber commands, backed by massive intelligence agencies and partnerships with private technology firms. Its capabilities focus on defending critical infrastructure, protecting satellite systems, and maintaining secure communications across global military operations. American cyber doctrine emphasizes resilience, ensuring that command systems continue functioning even under attack. Russia approaches cyber warfare differently. It treats digital operations as an integrated part of state strategy. Russian cyber units specialize in disruption, targeting communications, power grids, logistics software, and civilian networks to create confusion and slow response times. These efforts are tightly linked with electronic warfare systems that jam GPS signals, radar, and battlefield communications. Russia fields some of the most powerful mobile electronic warfare platforms in the world, capable of degrading drones and aircraft sensors over wide areas. The United States counters with hardened networks, redundant satellites, and AI-assisted threat detection. Neither side fully reveals its capabilities, but the pattern is clear. America builds systems meant to survive attacks. Russia builds systems meant to destabilize opponents. In any modern confrontation, cyber and electronic warfare would likely shape events long before the first missile ever launches. Military power doesn't exist in isolation. It multiplies through alliances. The United States leads the largest security network in history. NATO alone includes 30-plus member states, adding millions of troops, thousands of aircraft, and hundreds of naval vessels to America's strategic depth. Beyond Europe, the U.S. maintains defense partnerships across Asia and the Pacific, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines, along with permanent or rotational bases in over 70 countries. This gives Washington something no other power possesses: continuous global presence. Russia operates with a much smaller circle of partners. Its closest military relationships are with Belarus, parts of Central Asia, and limited strategic cooperation with countries like Iran and North Korea. While Russia retains influence in certain regions, it lacks a comparable alliance structure capable of coordinated multinational operations. Strategically, the U.S. can project power simultaneously across multiple theaters. Russia concentrates strength near its borders. This difference matters. Allies provide logistics hubs, intelligence sharing, reinforcement pipelines, and diplomatic leverage. They turn national militaries into collective systems. In today's world, reach is as important as readiness, and America's alliance architecture remains one of its most decisive advantages. The answer depends on what kind of power you're measuring. The United States dominates in global reach, air superiority, naval presence, satellite networks, and alliance strength. Its military is designed to operate anywhere on Earth, supported by unmatched logistics, technology integration, and economic depth. When it comes to rapid deployment and sustained overseas operations, no country comes close. Russia, by contrast, is built for endurance. It maintains enormous missile forces, layered air defenses, powerful electronic warfare systems, and a force structure optimized for regional conflict. Its military doctrine prioritizes territorial control, disruption, and deterrence, especially through nuclear and missile capabilities. America represents scale, connectivity, and projection. Russia represents resilience, concentration, and strategic denial. Neither model is universally stronger. They are designed for different realities. And perhaps the most important conclusion is this: modern military power is no longer about dramatic victories. It's about supply chains, alliances, cyber resilience, industrial capacity, and the ability to sustain pressure over years, not weeks. This comparison isn't about predicting war. It's about understanding how two very different systems prepare for it. If this breakdown helped, tell us in the comments what stood out and what we could do better next time. And if you want more calm analysis like this, consider subscribing.